My name is Clare Gillis. I am a freelance journalist. I was covering the conflict in Libya for USA Today, The Atlantic, also the German paper Die Welt, and I published a couple things with a couple other people. I was there for 6 weeks before I got captured at the front lines right outside of Brega. Then I spent 6 weeks in Tripoli. It was me, Jim Foley of Global Post, Manu Bravo of EPA, and Anton Hammerl, who was freelance, and I'm not sure who he was selling his stuff to. We took a taxi down from Benghazi to Brega, which is where the front line was. Eventually we got the information that Gaddafi ground troops were 300 meters up the road. And we all kind of looked at each other and sighed a sigh of collective disbelief, like, we don't think that's very likely. Nobody's gotten within 10 or 20 clicks of these guys before, except people who end up getting captured, of course. And so we just started walking up the hill a bit, and then we saw the 2 rebel trucks, which were further up, turn around, come down very, very fast. We started running at that point. We missed those cars. We should have been able to get a ride with those cars, but it just wasn't possible. They passed us too quickly. So we started running into the desert, and we ran to the cover of some trees, which were maybe 20 meters off the road. And we just crouched down. We laid entirely flat because the Gaddafi trucks were coming behind the rebels and shooting at us. And we realized that they were indeed shooting at us, and the bullets were landing all around us. I heard at some point Anton shouted out, "Help," and it sounded like he'd gotten hit. When there was a lull in the shooting, someone said, "Are you okay?" Anton called out, "No." He was maybe 10 meters closer to the front than me. And we wanted to get up to check on him, to see him, but they started shooting again, so we stayed flat, and then they drove up, stopped shooting, and Jim stood up and said, "Press, press, please stop shooting." And they stopped shooting, but they hit me in the face. They hit Jim and Manu over the heads with the butt of the AK-47s, and they tied us up. They tied our hands behind our backs and put us in the back of the truck. And as we were walking by Anton, I was able to look down and see him, and I just saw him lying completely still in the sand in a large pool of blood. And I just remember thinking, God, that really doesn't look good. And you know, my hands were tied behind my back, and I was being loaded into the truck, and I think I wasn't thinking very much at all. I try to imagine sometimes the story from, for example, my parents' point of view, and it must be pretty nightmarish. You know, you get a email one day from the director or from the representative of Human Rights Watch saying, "Your daughter has gone missing in Libya. We have reports on the ground that she may have been captured." And I think whatever you're imagining at that point in time, it's got to be pretty horrible. And after my initial capture, things were basically not that nightmarish at all. We spent a lot of time together. We were very lucky in that we got to spend so much of our captivity either in the same room, in the same house, or at least with options to talk to each other. That made a big difference for me. Whenever you're a captive and you're being guarded, not everybody's going to be that nice to you. But for the most part, I think these people were exceptions, and everybody tried to make sure that I was comfortable almost all the time.